Hello and welcome back. We are now 2 weeks out, which means that it is packing time. And yeah, pretty excited. We have our address, we know where we're going to be. We're about a 14-minute walk from the school we're going to be working at. About a 3-minute drive, it says, but I don't know that we're going to have a car. Honestly, because I don't even know about as being there on a work visa. I don't even know how buying a car would really work. Um, I mean, renting a car would, but there's ride sharing and things like that. So, being in Mongolia on that would probably be just the way to go if we did anything. But being that close to the school, I don't think that buying a car would really be economical because we have a packing list that we've set up for our particular trip, and it's pretty much what you'd expect for moving as opposed to for just like going on vacation. So, the usual things: passport, all of your visa information, flight documents, all of my work stuff. So, like my diplomas, my work certificates, things like that, health certificates, all the all the paperwork that you need to prove that you have the right to be doing everything you're doing. Clothing. We're going to be arriving in August, so we're going to be arriving uh, summer, going into fall. So we're gonna need, that kind of weather. And then we're probably going to purchase winter clothing there just because it'll probably be more appropriate. Um, you know, one of the things that's interesting here is it says like teaching supplies, but I think that's again something that probably aside from like my electronics, like my laptop and things like that, I'm not going to bring my desktop because, again, transporting it, I don't know a good safe way to transport my desktop because, like, I mean, I could take it apart and put it back together again. I've built computers. It's not like that's a difficult thing to do, but it's just the idea of taking it apart, transporting it over there, and then finding out that something got damaged on the way. Like, if, somewhere between here and there, they decided to open up my suitcase or something and my video card got damaged, that would be expensive to replace. That'd be expensive to have to do a repair on, and it's just not worth it, to deal with and to worry about when my laptop will probably be sufficient for most things, especially if I just get an external hard drive. So tech and communication, obviously phone, uh camera and stuff to continue doing my educational YouTube stuff and the blog for family because we want to make sure we keep up with all of that because that's going to be very important. So the power strip and surge protector is interesting. I don't know that I should purchase a power strip here, um, because I'm not sure. It says that they use 220-volt plug type CE, and I've got to compare that because I'm pretty sure we're 120 over here. So for things you need, headphones, yeah, external hard drive. I am going to do that because I'm going to put my videos and things and stuff that I do on that since I'm doing the laptop. So that is one thing that I do need to get. So I'll need to get an external hard drive. That's a big deal. Health and toiletries, obviously, going to be bringing that stuff. One thing from my time in Alaska where it was very dry is you cannot have enough moisturizer. Oh my goodness, you cannot have enough moisturizer. You if it is anything like, because in Alaska it was cold, it was windy, and it was dry, and you would absolutely go through um lotion like absolutely crazy. Definitely gonna get some good lotion, and of course find a brand that I like when I'm over there. I know that might sound silly, but hey, it's important, you know. Um, and then like stuff like basic first aid and things. Again, I'm pretty sure that that's obviously going to be available in a major city of 3 million people like Ulaanbaatar. Sunscreen. That's just you carry that anyways in your purse. Travel size toiletries, that's just anytime you're flying, you should have those things. Of course, make sure you get flight safe ones because, You don't want them to be confiscated. Hand sanitizer wipes, that's just, again, travel. You don't want to get sick traveling because you're in an airport. Don't touch things without sanitizing them. That's just travel safety. Um, so most of that is just, being in the airport and traveling, because obviously we're going to be going from Dallas to South Korea, from South Korea to Mongolia, Um, and it's not like any of those places are exceptionally dirty, but it's lots of people traveling. And then household and kitchen basics. I love that it's like multi-purpose knife. I'm like, I'm not bringing a knife on a plane. I'm just not doing it. Like, I'll buy one there. I'm sure that there will be kitchen utensils available in Ulaanbaatar. Thank you, ChatGPT, for the suggestion. But I'm sure that Ulaanbaatar has, you know, kitchen supplies. That is a thing that people cook. People cook, and people in Mongolia have kitchens and they cook. I'm sure I'll be able to find pots, pans, and kitchen supplies. Sometimes, I'm telling you, sometimes AI is, it's like, sometimes it's like having an overprotective mother when it's like, "Oh, don't forget to bring these things," and you're like, "Really?" Because I'm pretty sure I can find that there. Um, Collapsible tote bags great for groceries. That is one thing that's interesting. I haven't looked up. So there are some things that are cultural things that I do like want to look up and find out about, because, like, for example, taking your own grocery bags to stores is common in places like Japan, and I think in Korea as well. And I don't know if that's something that's common in uh, um, Mongolia. Like, I don't know what that situation is. So that's going to be something I need to find out about. I should ask my contact. You know, and again, that's obviously something I can get while I'm there. But that's one of the things that I just culturally, I don't know. I don't know how that goes. Um, and then here it's like laundry detergent pods slash liquid. I don't know if I will have a washer and dryer in my apartment. And again, not a people in Mongolia don't have washers and dryers, but, like, for example, I know that in Mexico City, a great, wonderful city, they have washing machines in houses typically, but they don't typically have dryers. Uh, Same thing in, like, a lot of areas in uh, England. They have a washing machine. They don't have a dryer because they'll just hang their clothes. A lot of areas in Japan are the same way. They have a washing machine, not a dryer. They just hang their clothes, because it's an expense that's considered to be wasteful. And that's just how it is. Whereas here in the United States, everybody has a washing machine and a dryer. We don't hang dry our clothes. But that's, again, another thing that I just hadn't thought to look up. I just don't know. It's a thing I'm gonna learn when I get there, I guess. Um, and then, like, one thing that's interesting is, and this is one thing I do know, is it was like reusable water bottle, because filter systems may not be common. And this is another thing I know, that outside of there's a lot of cities and a lot of countries where the water is clean but not potable. And so you boil and filter your water. And so you have clean water. It's good for showering, good for bathing, good for brushing your teeth, good for cooking, but you don't drink directly. You filter your water. Apparently, that's what I have looked up. And if anything I'm saying is incorrect, please absolutely correct me. Because this is just things that I've researched. Just in preparing, so that I know a little bit more about what to do when I get there. And again, that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this blog, or why I'm going to be doing these, is because um, there's kind of a decent bit of, like, touristy information about, like, oh, where to go to find good restaurants and where to go to find this, like, good touristy stuff. And but, like, just like, hey, day-to-day living is just like, Mongolia seems like a really interesting, cool place. And I've done a decent bit of research about, like, culture, now that I'm going to be going there. Culture, government, the history, and it seems like a really fascinating place. And I'm interested to see how much of what I have read is kind of anthropological stuff and how much is like actually true. Like I know that sounds really weird to say, but it's really, having been in the academic world a bunch, you just find that there's some things that are like they're technically true, but then like when you really get down to like how things go, it's like the way that something appears in a book or on paper isn't necessarily the way it is day to day, or the way that it actually kind of functions, you know? And there's a lot of examples of that, and I'm not going to get into them because trying to get into those kind of examples for like the United States, for example, it's like it's weird because I don't I can't think of a lot of like things that I would talk about that would be like positive, and I don't want to get into negative stuff, so it's like I'm just not gonna, so I'm just interested to see like what's different from that. I can actually get into something language wise because language is a really good example of that. I'm, you know trying to learn Mongolian stuff, and one thing that's very interesting, that I found to be very interesting, is how absolutely off some of the Mongolian learning aids are compared to actual Mongolians speaking and teaching Mongolian that I've been able to find, including the information from the for some reason, even though I've been searching for months for Mongolian like resources, um, the YouTube and the Google algorithms are terrible. Like they just are. They're absolute trash. And uh, I would only find a couple of things, and it would bring up like these few things, and I would watch those, and I'd watch those, and I'd find those, and I'd watch, and it would just kind of get recursive, and only these like three or four channels would come up, and and I would do Google searches, and the same thing, only these like three or four resources would come up, and I'd get like 10 and 12 hits of just those same three or four resources, different videos of theirs, and they were good videos, and I was, working off of those as best I could and stuff. But then, I started doing like ChatGPT searches and stuff like that. And for some reason, in the past week, and I don't know if it's because I put up a video saying like how I was having difficulty, um, but in the past week, I have now been getting shorts from people who have started within the past like year or two putting up content. Like I've gone to their channels, and like they do not have like very much content up, but it's relatively recent content, so obviously older than me saying, oh, I can't find stuff. But I've been looking for content for the past couple of months, and YouTube had never shown me any of it, and this is content that's older than when I was looking, so you would think that it would have shown up in my searches, and it had not. And so it started showing up. And so when I started seeing that, then I've started seeing other stuff. Like, for example, the official Mongolian like government teaching aids for learning Mongolian language. And you're like, why would that not show up? YouTube and Google? Don't you think that the Mongolian government putting up official teaching material would be a thing that should show up on a Google search for learning the Mongolian language? Like, I mean, that seems kind of weird, So, but anyway, so that finally showed up, and so uh, I know that I've kind of gone on a side, but hey, that's what these blog posts are. I'm not a professional blogger, and I'm not a professional travel person. I'm just a math teacher talking about what I'm doing right now. So, yeah, I guess get used to it. But, anyways, so the thing that's interesting here is I've got this book for Mongolian, and it's really good and really interesting, except at the same time it's pretty terrible in certain ways, because some of the information, you can tell the person who wrote the book clearly does not actually speak Mongolian. And I'll give you an example here. This letter, I've got cards here. This letter in this book, let me find the letter real quick. Because if I say the letter, well, it's technically, I guess it's technically the letter L. It looks like a backward pie. Oh, well, not really a backward pie. I don't really know how I would describe the shape. but it's, and I don't really know what the name of the letter is, but it's this letter right here. Okay. Um, this letter is a fricative L, and but in the book it says that you pronounce this letter like the L in lamb. That is not how you pronounce that letter at all. That letter is pronounced more like an SH sound. It's like "yeesh." There's an L sound at the beginning of it, but it's more like, and it does not sound anything like the L in the word lamb at all, in any way, shape, or form. And there's another one in here that is also really bad and apparently super bad. Uh, it's the diphthong. Uh, that's the A half E. Uh, I guess you could say, diphthong. And it says that it's pronounced like the long I sound in like, which again is wrong because it's uh, it's the AI that's in Sanbanu, which is pronounced Sanbanu, uh, and it's pronounced as like a soft like apple, or like a. It's not pronounced I, like a hard I, like sign. You wouldn't say sign by new. Um, but according to this book, that's how you pronounce that. And I'm just like, so if I'd gone off of this instead of the multiple, and I mean multiple native Mongolian speakers who teach you how to say that, uh and then who go over the thing like, don't this is not how you, don't say this like that. That's not how you pronounce this. um I would have done it wrong. And I mean, and like it's like I even crossed it out in the book, but like, here, let me see if I can show you. Like, it's, there is no mistaking what that says. That says the I in like, and there's no other way to say the word like. We don't say lock, like, and if it had said, like the O in lock, like that would have made more sense or something. But yeah, no, it's like straight up just, and that's kind of part of the problem. There's a lot of stuff like that for the language, and I'm wondering how much of the cultural stuff is like that. Because, for example, I was trying to find the word for please, and there's a word for thank you, Bayeshlar, um, which that's a great example of that L sound. Because if you look at the word and then you convert the Cyrillic into, even looking at the Cyrillic, if you read it letter for letter in the Cyrillic, and then you convert that Cyrillic to the Latinate, it looks like it's Bayersla, and it's Bayersla, like Bayersla. I see. I can't even say. I can't do the fricative very well, but it's like, yeah, something like that. And you know, and that's thank you. And so I was like, okay, but how do you say please? You know, or how do you say I'm sorry? And I was trying to find those two, and I could not find. I finally found I'm sorry. I think I found I'm sorry. Um, where was it? I think I found I'm sorry. Nangab uchlarig, uchlarai. Yeah, I think namaguchlarai is I'm sorry. But I think it's like I'm sorry, like excuse me. But I also think that that's I'm sorry in the same way that lo siento is I'm sorry in Spanish. Like, that's like I'm very sorry. So I don't know how you would say like disculpe, or perdón, that kind of I'm sorry. Uh, and that's the thing, because I'm pretty sure from what I saw, and I was trying to find the video game where somebody was talking about it, how in Mongolian people don't typically say I'm sorry unless it's like a big deal, because usually they simply fix it. They express their apology through actions. And please is the same thing. They don't say please, they simply demonstrate a nature of request and humility in asking, is what I have read. And that's one of those things where it's like, that's really awesome from a cultural standpoint, but like, is there really not a word for please? Is that really a cultural thing? And if so, that's really awesome. But I have no idea of how true that is. You know what I mean? And so I really want to um uh that's one of the things I want to find out, and that's one of those things that I think that you're only really going to find out how it works by being there, living there, and interacting with it. So, and then the big deal right now that I'm working on, aside from obviously the five big words that you normally learn in every language: please, thank you, you're welcome, I'm sorry, hello, goodbye. And then of course, where's the bathroom is always the big important one. Is the alphabet, because they don't use the Latinate alphabet; they use the Cyrillic alphabet. I think I talked about that before, and so yeah, I've got that going on. So so I've got that, and I think I've got most of it memorized. So it's let's see if I can do it. Let's see if I can do it. Okay, you ready? Ready? So it's be, ve or way. It's the V or the W. So, and I've heard it both ways. Like I've heard the same video, I've heard them say it both ways, two different people. So it's way or ve. Usually ve is, I think, the normal way. So like a V sound, typically V. But I think it's like the Spanish B, how it's either a B or a V, and it's kind of interchangeable. Same thing. Gay, it's the G sound. De. I don't know if this is a good way to write it or an incorrect way. I've seen it written this way, and then I've also seen it written with like the boxy shape. So again, I'm gonna have to figure that one out. But I like that shape, so I wrote it that way. So de. Uh, I believe it's yay. Yeah, yay. Yo. Yeah, yo. Yay, yo. The umlaut. Ze or Z. That's another one I'm not sure. Is it Ze or Z? It's not Zed. I know that. So British people, it's not Zed. This one's not. It's not Zed. E. Oh, where's the other E? Where's half E? Did I forget half E? Huh. I think I forgot half E. So half E, which I don't remember how to say it in Mongolian, but half E is like the E that creates diphthongs. It doesn't actually have a sound itself. It's really cool. It's E with a little U on top. So the U is the U that in English we use to show a short vowel. It's the same thing. J or J. There we go. I had it upside down, but I couldn't tell because I made it symmetrical. Oh, there's half E. I had it out of order. Yeah, it's Hagas E. Hagas E. J. Hagas E. J. If you're gonna say things to be on camera as a voice, you might as well come over and say hi, since you're gonna be on camera next blog. I guess you just get to come be on camera this blog if you want. That's my travel partner. That's the X in OXD Travels. The D is around here somewhere. There's the little fuzzy butts running around. There's the Ka. Here's Pe. Oh no, no, I got that one wrong. See, I get it mixed up because this one's got the little flange. Pe does not. This is Ich. It's the fricative L. There's M. There's N. That's right. I'm gonna go through this whole thing. That's the rest of the video. So if you don't like it, yeah, bye. O. So this one I'm a little torn on. So I see it as an umlaut O, and I've been told it's supposed to be like ur, like the umlaut, like the German umlaut O, like ur, like schön, right? But I also see it just as u, so I'm not entirely sure. I think it's ur, like a soft R. So it's not quite fully the umlaut, German umlaut O. So I think it's like ur, like a real soft R at the end. Ur. Okay. But again, if you know Mongolian, correct me, please. Absolutely correct me. Here's pe. So do you see what I mean? Doesn't have the little flange. Yeah. Pe. And then this is ir. It's a rolled R like in Spanish. Ir. And what's interesting is I've heard some people trill that a lot and some people not trill that very much at all. So I don't know how hard you're supposed to trill that. So ir. So I don't know if you're supposed to be like, or if you're just supposed to be like, you know, I don't know. Let me know. And then is, it's the S, is. But again, I've heard it is. So, okay, T. And then this one is oo, oo. And this one is like oo, like tool, like oo, like, yeah, oo. Again, it's like the German umlaut U. Oo, like Müller, like moo, oo. Uh, F, if, F, it's the F. Again, I've heard it just as fe, but I've also heard it as F. I don't know if it's fe or F. I don't know which way you're supposed to say it. I've heard it both ways I've heard it different ways from different people. Same thing with this one. I've heard it as H and I've heard it as hitch. So I don't know if you're supposed to say H or hitch. I know that in words it's typically the ch, like the like like the like the glottal. So, but I don't know as a letter if you're supposed to say H or hitch. But again, correct me. I'm hoping to find a Mongolian teacher for both myself and my son. My hope. And then we have ish. Oh no, that's not ish. That's tse. I'm sorry. That's tse, tse, tse. Again, I don't know how to say this one as a letter. I know the sound it makes. It's tse, tse. But I don't know if that's the name of the letter or if it's tse or. But it's tse. Yeah. Ish is the looks like a W. I don't know, but better way. You'll see it. You'll see ish. This is che. I like this one. Che. I like the sound it makes. Che. We don't have a letter for this in English. Che. We also don't have a letter for t. It's almost like the end of an X. Because X is t, t. That's the t. You know. This is ish. This is ish. And then you ready for this? Here's the other ish. So as far as I can tell, this is the normal ish. This is the ish for like loan words, Russian words. I don't know the difference. Spelling wise, this one is ish with a ch at the end, ish. But I only ever hear people say ish for both. So I don't know. I don't know. And then this has no sound. This is the hard pronunciation symbol. It hardens vowel sound pronunciation. I'm not entirely sure what that means exactly, other than like I think like you have like mar and mer for like mar becomes mar versus mer, and I think that's like horse versus I don't remember what the other word is. Sorry, I don't remember. I'm learning. It's been like a month or two where I've been able to find enough materials. I've been told it takes at least a year to become not terrible at Mongolian. So this is another version of E. This is called the 61E, but again, I don't remember how to say 61 in Mongolian yet. I'm still learning my numbers. But it's like I believe it's a masculine E. I don't remember, but it's an E. And then this is another one that has no sound. This is the soft sound pronunciation. And then and then yo. I like the shape of that one. I don't know why. It's just I like the shape of that letter. And then ya. So yeah, that's all the letters. I'm learning my Cyrillic, and I can kind of pronounce some words, but I'm really bad at it, especially because some of the things trip me up. Uh, there's a couple of sounds that even with the diphthongs, they don't like the way they're said versus the way they're spelled when I sound them out don't quite match up, and obviously that's a me thing, not a Mongolian thing. So I'm working on that. Anyways, that's yeah. So that's what we're working on. Packing, learning Mongolian, learning cultural things so that we don't make fools of ourselves, and trying to learn which of those things are new. Oh, got my haircut. So this is a new haircut. Doesn't look too different right now because I've been out in the humidity and stuff. But you'll notice I've been out in the humidity all day and I don't look like a dandelion puffball. And that's what's important. That's why it's a good haircut. See, I don't look like a big dandelion puffball like I have in all my other videos. And I've been out in the terrible humidity all day. We were out at K-Pot with the family today. So that's the other thing we're doing for these 2 weeks. I finished up all of the videos that I had planned for the beginner calculus series, the first calculus series. I've got to do the intermediate calculus series now, which is going to be the calculus series that does all of the stuff for like three-dimensional rotations, so like the washer method, the disk method, the shell method for integration, and then also the more advanced integration methods like integration by parts, integration with trigonometric values, looking at exponential equations and logarithmic equations from a calculus standpoint, and then using those to do derivatives and integrals, and then differential equations, as well as doing series and sequences, and basically effectively the advanced stuff for AB Cal, the necessary stuff for BC Cal, and then the stuff that you would see in first year Cal 1 and Cal 2 is what's going to be covered in the advanced calculus series. But that's going to be a later thing because I also need to go ahead and get the pre-cal videos started and the statistics videos started, because class-wise, I'm going to be teaching pre-calculus, AP pre-calculus, AP BC calculus, and AP statistics. I'm really looking forward to it. And yeah, and like I said, we fly out in 2 weeks, 14 days, almost on the dot. And the only real big thing that I'm worried about, aside from, obviously being away from some of the family for 2 years, is when we are in Singapore. And we're in not Singapore. I keep saying Singapore because we were talking about Singapore the other day because we were talking about how Singapore speaks. They're an English speaking country, but they have Singlish, which is a variant of English. It's interesting. Anyways, it's an interesting conversation we were having about Indian English and Singlish and stuff. But Korea, when we were in Seoul, Korea, worrying about walking the dog after a 14-hour flight, because apparently we have a 14-hour flight and we have a 17-hour layover, and apparently there's nowhere in the terminal that is pet friendly, is what we have read. So again, if you happen to be a person who watches these blogs and you know something about that, please let me know. I'm going to be researching that during this time period as well. Anyways, that is yeah, that's it for this. It's long, but all of these are long, and I'm gonna obviously edit some of this down, and yeah, I guess have a good day, and I'll see you in a week, and I'll tell you a little bit more about how the packing and getting ready goes. And then the one after that is going to be the one right before. So we've got this one. Next week, I'm going to be at my friend's place. It's going to be the last time I see them before we leave. And then the Sunday after that is going to be right before we get on the plane. And then the one after that is going to be the first one in Mongolia. So 3 videos from now is going to be the first video where you are going to see the trip and the intro to us being in Mongolia. So yeah, that'll be fun. Bye.